Manufactured homes, they don't build them like they used to, they build them better. Hello, I'm Michael Holligan. Welcome to your new house. Today's manufactured homes are built with many of the same materials and techniques you find in traditional homes. Steve Easley shows you how quality is the key in manufactured housing. And you sink more than pipes into your lawn when you install that sprinkler system. Learn how to protect your investment with sprinkler tips from Super Handyman Al Carroll. Call it a turf seat or a sod sofa. Either way, you'll never think of lawn chairs in quite the same way once you see what Joe Sherinsky has in store for your yard. We have all this plus a lot more coming up right now on Your New House. Would you purchase a car or a boat or a computer that was built outdoors? Of course not. But thousands of people buy new homes that were built outdoors every day. There is now an alternative. Manufactured housing. Believe it or not, manufactured homes now account for 35% of all new home sales. The reason? Low pricing, improved quality control, and the building materials are protected from the elements. This home has a lot of features you probably wouldn't expect. If you remember the old manufactured homes, you had a lot of paneling with buttons to hold it in place. Here, our walls are tape bedded in texture just like an ordinary home. Really looks good. Plus, bullnose corners. That's a rounded edge corner. You normally only see that in more expensive homes. They've also added a couple plant ledges to set the room off, and then crown molding going all the way around the room. You notice we also have a high ceiling, and it's tape bedded and textured as well. And outside, the home looks different than an ordinary manufactured home because it has a hinged roof. It has a higher pitch. It actually has a 512 pitch, which is pretty much standard for most homes. So it looks very different from what you would conceive as a manufactured home. Now let's go in the kitchen. Let me show you a few other features you probably don't expect. One thing that's a nice touch is the big island here with a great work surface on it and plenty of light from a skylight right overhead. Then we have a stainless steel sink with double sides on it, a name brand faucet. We have tile edging around our countertops and island, and a tile backsplash. Now all the cabinets are made in the factory, and they have really nice solid doors on them. Very, very thick when you look down the side, but not just on the edges, also in the center as well. Now if you like the things in the kitchen, you're really going to like the fireplace. Right above the fireplace, they have a mantel shaped out of drywall to give it a contemporary look, and they still have those bullnose corners to match up with the rest of the house. Now around the fireplace, they have a tile surround, really nice, grout held up great on the move. Fireplace. Most people don't expect this in a manufactured home, but they have one here, and it's built right because it has an exterior air intake, so we draw air from outside for the combustion of the fire. We're not sucking all the warm air that we've already paid to heat to burn the fire and have it go up out through the flue. Now again, there's a lot of things you don't expect, but there's a lot of things behind the wall you probably don't expect as well. Let's go take a look at that. Unlike the less sturdy mobile homes of 20 years ago, a lot of manufactured homes now feature thicker lumber and better building materials for greater structural integrity. William was good enough to build us a cutaway at the factory so we know exactly how the home is built. We've got our exterior wall here in our flooring system. And William, first question, you went with a 2x6 instead of a 2x4 for your exterior wall. How come?
Well, several reasons. First, it allowed us to put a R19 insulation in the wall cavity, and also the 2x6 walls does give us a lot stronger construction than that of a 2x4.
50% thicker wall, more insulation, so cool in the summer, warm in the winter, low utility bills?
That's correct, quiet as well.
Exactly what we want. Now there's a stigma attached with manufactured homes that when the floor gets wet it starts to buckle and delaminate, but that's with particle board. You're not using that, you're using plywood.
That's correct. This is a 3/4 inch tongue and groove plywood floor decking that is attached to our 2x6 floor joists using not only a full ring shank nail, but also the special polyurethane glue, which helps eliminate floor squeaks and gives us a very strong floor system.
So you can sneak into the kitchen at midnight, no one's going to hear you going across the floor.
That's correct.
And it's got to be strong, like you said, because it's going to be in transit. You're going to be moving the home. And that makes me wonder about the drywall. How do you keep the nails from popping and getting cracks in the wall when you're actually transporting the home?
Well, what we're trying to do is eliminate the racking and stress that's caused by transit. We do that by using the structural backer board behind the 1/2 inch sheetrock. We attach that to the studs using both a glue and nails, and that does give us more structural strength during transit.
Well, William, besides the added expense of the 2x6s and the plywood decking, I see you've added some money here on the exterior as well, going with the cement siding. Why is that?
Well, the fiber cement siding not only adds structural strength to the wall, but it also is impervious to rot and insects, and it holds paint very well.
And you can change the color since it is paintable.
That's correct.
Yeah, I really like the wood grain features on it. It's really nice. William, what's it like to be able to build a house indoors?
Well, one of the greatest advantages, Michael, is that we're able to control our environment. So whether it's very hot outside, very cold, snowing, raining, we're able to keep going.
It doesn't matter. When I do them, I work with a lot of different trades, and they come in and out, and that delays the process. It takes a few months. How long does it take to build it indoors?
Start to finish, usually takes us about 3 days.
3 days. So no weather problems and no labor problems. What type of people do you have inside the factory?
We have all the trades there at the factory, whether it be plumbers, electricians, framers, drywallers, they're all there.
Well, I know they're used to doing certain types of homes, and you know that if there's supposed to be 8 nails in a stud, there's 8 nails. You have that kind of consistency. But what if you do a custom home? Can you do it in a factory, and how long would it take?
Well, it takes about the same amount of time. We have draftsmen there on site. They're able to draw the home to meet that customer's needs, and then we just build it like any other.
And with all the trades on site, once you're done, you're totally done when it rolls out?
All it needs is the furniture.
With an average cost of about $35,000, manufactured homes have become the fastest growing segment of the housing market. Many manufactured homes offer floor plans that have more than 2,000 square feet, from spacious dining rooms and living areas to large bedrooms and studies. With the cost of conventional homes continuing to rise, a manufactured home might provide the value and quality your family's been looking for.
Has this ever happened to you? You turn on your sprinkler system expecting a gentle mist over the whole yard, and what do you end up with? A bubble machine. Well, that's not right. No matter how old your sprinkler system is, it needs some maintenance from time to time. We're going to show you some things you ought to know about that. In the meantime, though, I'm going to go cut off the water, and we're going to fix this baby. Well, now that I've got the water cut off, and I've got my buddy Daryl over here who knows everything there is to know about sprinkler systems, Daryl, what's my problem here?
Well, it looks like now that you've got the water turned off, we can see that the head has been broken by either an edger or a lawnmower, and the nozzle's missing at the same time. So we're going to need to take that head out and replace it with another one.
All right, and you just unscrew this, hoping that the riser is still in under there.
That's right, and it is. So we're going to go back in with another 6-inch pop-up. So you can turn it back in, get it nice and tight.
All right.
And then we're going to go in and we're going to replace the nozzle. So we'll remove this cover and put our nozzle with our filter back on top.
Okay.
We'll place our filter in there and it'll keep debris from flushing up into the nozzle, and then we'll replace the nozzle. We're going in with a 360 nozzle to cover the area.
Which means it'll spray over the whole area here.
All the way around, full circle.
And it's that easy.
It's that easy.
A do-it-yourselfer can take care of that. While you're here, let's look at the rest of the system and see what we can do.
You bet.
Now, the reason the guys are tearing up my yard out here is so that you can see what the double check looks like. And it looks like a mud pit. What is it really?
Well, Al, what we've got is it's a 1-inch double check or a backflow prevention device, and it's required by most cities and most states. It keeps the sprinkler water from flowing back into the drinking water, the potable supply.
So the water comes in here like that, but if you shut this off, it can't back up, right?
That's exactly right. You have 2 check valves. This particular gate valve is for us to cut off, and then you've got a drain valve.
Okay, and it's a good thing to have like this, because this way, if you ever have a problem where you can't shut it off, you can reach into that little opening there, you can shut this off, and you still have water to the rest of the house.
That's exactly right. It cuts off the water to just the sprinkler system, and you still have water to the house.
Now, it looks to me like this is close enough to the surface where freezing might be a problem.
It could be in most areas or a lot of areas. Here in Texas, we don't have that problem. But in the case of freezing, there's some things you can do.
Like take a big slug of insulation and put in on top of that?
That would work great. Just anything, insulation in some of the colder climates. You can even use newspaper, rags, anything you can put around just to insulate that device would help protect it from freezing.
Okay, let's put it back together then.
Right.
Now, Daryl, this sprinkler head used to shoot out about 5 feet on either side, and now it's just dribbling.
Right, what we've got here, Al, is the most common problem in a sprinkler system, but the simplest one to fix. It's a stopped-up nozzle. So we've got Pat stationed over at the double check. We're going to have him turn that off, and then we're going to unclog this nozzle. Pat, go ahead and turn it off. We'll remove the nozzle. There will be some debris inside, maybe an insect or some leaves, or we'll see what we got. And I think you've got a tool for the nozzle, don't you?
Absolutely. Let me have that thing. The tool's a real exotic tool. It's a paper clip that we straightened out.
That's
but it's
absolutely
great
perfect,
for
yeah.
reaching in here, poking around these little holes.
That's perfect. We'll get some dirt and some small bugs out of this. Flush that out.
We got it.
All right, let's put it back in. Get the nozzle back in, and then we'll get it adjusted. Have Pat turn it on. Look out, Al.
That's okay. Now, that's the way it ought to be, isn't it?
That's exactly the way it should look.
You know, we've given you some really good tips on maintenance for your sprinkler system. If you have any questions, though, why don't you contact us on the internet? It's michaelholligan.com.
Laying sod can be hard work. I'll never forget the first time I did it. I was on a crew of 8 guys, and we laid 2 acres of sod in one day. The next day, my back said, Joe, don't ever do that again. But today, I'm gonna lay some sod. Nice looking sod, and it'll be an interesting project. I'm going to go up this slope behind me and build a turf seat right up in here. Now, what I'm going to be doing is digging down into the ground about 15 or 18 inches and building the backrest of my bench. When I get down deep enough, I'll build a seat. And I want to make it about 63 inches wide. Why? That's big enough for 2 people, and my sod is just 21 inches wide, so 3 pieces will fit right across here quite neatly with no waste of sod. As you can see, I'm only down about 10 or 12 inches, and I'd like to be down a full 15 or 18 inches to give me plenty of support for my back. So we need to go a bit deeper. It's starting to take shape. I've got the back built, and I'm starting to make the seat. We've got to have it slope downhill all the way so that every time it rains it doesn't fill up with water. But when we're through, we'll sod this and have a nice comfortable place to watch the kids play. And once we've got the seat mostly formed, we need to make sure that we have a little bit of a lip at the top so that when we lay our sod in here, it can go over the top of the seat and be pinned down right in here. Otherwise, water would tend to run right under it and wash the whole thing out. We're gonna bring our sod up, lap it, and then pin it down right here. It'll fit like a glove. Now, when we get our sod ready to put in, we want to pull it up to where it'll lap and fit with the grass on top. And I'm going to take an ordinary coat hanger, and with the wire cutting loop in my pruning shears, I'm going to cut it into a U-shaped pin and pin the sod right to the ground so that it can't move. In a couple of years, or even less, that coat hanger will rust away completely. And we'll just lay the sod in here, firm it back in, and get another piece. Now, if your pruning shears don't have a wire cutting loop, don't do this. Use wire cutters. Wire is hard on shears, but cut a U-shaped section so you're actually making a staple out of an old coat hanger, and staple your sod right to the ground. Push it all the way in. That'll hold the sod up there. Firm it into place. If necessary, you may even want to put staples in right at the backrest. Now, if we've made our measurements right in the beginning, all this should fit together nicely. But of course, like carpet, you can cut sod. If it doesn't quite fit, you can cut it and make it smaller. If it seems to be too large, you can always cut out some of the sod, the original sod, An ordinary pocket knife will do the trick. If it's a little too big, cut a piece out, slide it back together, and again, make yourself a staple out of a coat hanger and staple it in place. There. As you can see, it's starting to come together. And by the time I'm done, I think it'll be pretty comfortable. What do you think? We better finish it up though. There, the final cutting, pressing it into place, and be sure always to water new sod in. And when you're all done, relax in your new turf seat. There's just one problem with these things. They're rather difficult to mow with a standard lawnmower, but fortunately, technology has kept right up with us. I've got a battery-operated string trimmer just made for my turf seat.
The combination square is really nothing more than a steel rule and a sliding head. It's one of the hardest working marking and measuring tools around. So here's some quick tips on how to put it to work for you. First of all, it works great for mitering. You can use the 45-degree angle to make marks for your miter joints. Then you can flip it around and use it this way to make 90-degree angles so you can cut a square cut. Now it also works great making rip cuts. You can place this edge against the edge of the board, place your pencil against the end of the rule, and then slide it down the length of the board. Now it also works great for an adjustable depth gauge. Now this one is a 12-inch model. It also comes in 6-inch and 24-inch models. Mine also has a level, which comes in handy sometimes. The important thing to remember when you're buying one of these is that if you buy a better quality combination square, it'll stay true longer than if you buy one out of the bargain bin.
They don't make them like they used to, and that's good news for you. See how quality materials and building techniques are making manufactured homes attractive, affordable, and dependable. And why fight to see the light in your own home? Teresa Garrett has a new twist for track lighting that will brighten your day and night. It's all coming up on Your New House.
Can you believe that this home was made in a factory? And did you know that 35% of all the new homes built in America are manufactured? And that means that Americans are buying over 1,000 manufactured homes every day. Well, today we're in South Texas at Schuldt Homes, and we're going to show you how factory-built homes are made. Schuldt Homes Manufacturing Director Dave Kurtz says this plant turns out 5 ready-to-deliver homes each day.
Well, Dave, manufactured housing sure has come a long way. This does not look like the mobile homes of yesterday.
Steve, that's very true. This plant builds a high-end, custom-designed product that utilizes the same materials that you'd find in site-built construction, with one exception. Our controlled environment allows us to utilize adhesives and fasteners that aren't commonly found in the site-built construction field today.
Well, you know, I see a lot of different models being built here at one time. It looks like you have a lot of design flexibility.
We have a wide array of floor plans for our customers to choose from, and in addition, we have a tremendous amount of options that the customer can select from to customize the home to their own lifestyle.
Very similar to ordering a car, you can order different options.
Absolutely true.
Well, where does it all start?
Well, like any home that begins with a good foundation, let me show you how our process begins.
All right.
First, the base flooring is put together using 2x6 boards. Insulation is laid down, and so is the plumbing. Then the subflooring is hoisted over and the decking is put down. Linoleum is added. Then the floor is lowered onto a steel beam foundation. From there, workers install the plumbing fixtures, cabinets, and interior walls. Schuldt Homes makes their own wood cabinets for a variety of reasons.
Dave, why not buy cabinets from a cabinet supplier?
Well, we feel it's important to offer our customers a selection of design and materials that we couldn't get commercially from the normal supply of cabinetry. And we also feel that it's important to control the quality of the cabinets through our internal manufacturing process.
Well, I noticed that these guys can produce quite a few cabinets here.
It's very important for us to control every aspect of material delivery that we can. So 196 employees of this plant rely on having cabinets available on a timely basis all day long. If we had to wait on a cabinet truck to deliver a volume of cabinets and they were short one or two because another factory couldn't produce, our plant would suffer. So we control that material flow by building the cabinets ourselves.
As the home moves down the line, it starts to take shape. Exterior walls are prefabricated, including drywall and wallpaper. Then they're hoisted onto the foundation and screwed into place. Once the walls are in place, the home is ready for its roof.
Well, Dave, what are we looking at here?
Well, this is one of those technological advances that I spoke to you about earlier, where being inside of this building allows us to use this adhesive, which is known as foam seal. It's a two-part urethane that attaches the drywall to the roof trusses and gives us continuous connection of that truss to the drywall without the use of any mechanical fasteners.
Now, that's a pretty strong glue, right?
It's a very strong adhesive, and because of the amount of adhesive that we apply, it gives us the structural rigidity that we need in our ceilings to allow us to transport these units to the site. And because there are no mechanical fasteners, we don't have the worries of nail pops or fastener pops that are normally associated with lumber shrinking and contracting over time.
Once the ceiling's firmly attached to the roof, insulation is added. The roof is then hoisted by a giant crane into the home and attached. Decking, tar paper, and shingles are added to finish the job. The house must be constructed in two halves so that it will not be too wide to be transported over the road. Because it must travel along the highway, special care must be taken to ensure the structural integrity of the unit.
Dave, I think there's a perception that factory-built homes don't do as well in storms or high wind conditions.
Nothing could be further from the truth, Steve. The federal government regulations require that we design the structural elements of this home to meet whatever the weather conditions are in the region that it's going to be sited. You see an example of that right here. On a Wind Zone 1 house, these bands connect the wall to the floor and this building column to the roof that you see up above. Now, these bands haven't been connected to the roof beam or the floor rim joist yet, but that will be done in the next step of this finishing operation. If this were a Wind Zone 3 home, for example, these bands would continue all the way from the floor, all the way up this column, all the way across the roof and down the other side. So depending upon the structural requirements set forth by the government, we comply with the designs of structural tie-in that we provide.
Now, we're at the center of the house, or what they call the marriage wall. How do you fasten these guys together?
These units are drawn together in the field. They're bolted together through the rim joist of the house. This clip ties the two units together and to the foundation.
Now, as these guys go down the road, they're exposed to a lot of bumps and jiggles and jogs. How do you keep it all together?
Well, that's the reason for this diagonal banding that we put in here, and this is for transportation purposes. This imparts structural integrity to this large opening that you see on this marriage wall and keeps the unit all together and intact so that it arrives at the site in exactly the same condition that it was manufactured here at the plant.
Well, Dave, your factory-built homes have drywall just like a custom home.
Exactly right, Steve. This unit has already had all of the finishing compound put on the joints, and we're in the process right now of installing the texture on the wall and ceiling surfaces, and that's what you see this fellow doing right now.
So he just sprays a drywall compound like on the wall?
This fellow is knocking that texture down to replicate the appearance of stucco. This is a texture that is normally found in high-end standard site-built housing.
Now, I notice he's using a plastic trowel here. Why not metal?
The reason that we use the plastic knockdown knife is we can get on this textured surface a lot quicker than we can with a rigid steel knockdown knife that we'd have to wait quite a bit longer before we could knock the texture down and get the same uniform appearance. The steel, being a much more rigid surface, would flatten that material out too much for the look that we want to achieve.
Looks great.
Once the finished home leaves the factory, consumers can pick from a broad range of floor plans and sizes. Many homes have over 2,000 square feet of living space, from spacious island kitchens to large dining rooms that will seat the whole family. So if you're looking for a custom look, but not a custom price, manufactured housing may be right for you.
A lot of people now offer zero-down mortgage loans. In today's Mortgage Moment, we'll discuss what they actually cost. And Teresa Garrett's on deck with another great project you can do yourself. Your new house may also be your new office. Steve Greenberg has great ideas to organize your home office and even take it on the road, all when your new house returns.
If you'd like a detailed list of the tools and materials needed for any project that you've seen on the show, you can find it on the internet at www.michaelholligan.com.
How low can you go on your down payment? Try 0% down. Nowadays, zero down mortgages aren't just for low-income borrowers or urban pioneers. Zero down, 100% financing is now being aimed at up-and-coming professional people with enough money to make monthly payments, but not a large down payment. It's estimated that 50% of lenders now offer at least one zero down mortgage product for the average borrower, and the trend is expected to continue. Is zero down 100% financing right for you? It could be if you're prepared to handle the extra costs and associated risk. Zero down loans cost more than conventional loans. Your interest rate could be between 1/4 and 1/2 point higher than the rate on a conventional loan of the same length. And because private mortgage insurance companies charge more when you put down less money, a zero down loan could cost you much more per month. Bigger monthly payments can leave you with little to no room for financial error. 100% financing appeals to some borrowers because they see it as a way to get into a home without having to cash in their stock market investments. They figure that as long as their investments keep rising, they can always cash in later and prepay some of their loan. Of course, the stock market was built on the shifting sands of fortune, so this is a risky strategy at times. Zero down mortgages also expose borrowers to greater risk should their property values ever decline. That's because for the first few years of the loan, payments go towards paying off interest, not principal. You're not building a lot of equity those first few years. With no equity in your home, you could end up owing more than your home is worth should you be forced to sell it under unfavorable conditions. 100% financing could be a great short-term answer to the down payment question, but you better look at it in terms of the possible long-term effects it could have on your finances and your life.
A lot of people use their garages as a workspace, and some even turn them into a studio. This homeowner wants to add a workbench, but there's only one problem. There's not enough light in here. That's just because we have one light bulb. Today we're going to add track lighting, and the reason that we chose that is so the homeowner can aim the different lights wherever they need them. For the price that it would cost you to call in an electrician to rewire this garage, well, I can show you how you can do it yourself a lot cheaper. Anytime you're working with electricity, be sure and turn the power off first. The reason that we're going to be able to save so much money on this project is because I can use the junction box that's already here. All I had to do was take off this light, and I'm going to add this power end adapter for the track. That way, all of the electricity for the track lighting is run from this box. All we have to do now is wire this in. Be sure and marry the same color wires together. The green to green is the ground wire, white to white is your neutral, and the black to black is the hot, and this completes the circuit. Use a wire nut just to make the connection. When you're finished, you can push all of the wires back up into the junction box and use the existing screws to mount this to the ceiling. The easiest way to do this is to lay your track down on the floor. That way it will give you a good idea of how you want to put it up on the ceiling. The tracks come in varying lengths, but we're using 8 feet and 4 feet sections. Now what we need to do is go up on the ceiling and measure and mark to where we're going to lay the track. I measured the junction box and it was 44 inches off of this back wall, so I need to make a mark right here at 44 inches. Now because I laid the track on the ground already and got the plan that I wanted, I've measured that and determined that I need to come off my 2 side walls 3 feet and 8 inches. This will keep my track lighting centered. So measure from here, 3 feet 8 inches. Here's a tip. If you're doing this project by yourself, slide your first piece of track through the wires from the junction box. This will hold it in place for you. This is a modular unit, and you can buy accessories to expand your track if you need to. We've added an elbow piece here, and this just snaps into place. Now I can run some track lengthwise down the garage. What you want to do is find your mark, line this up, and then mark where your screws are going to go. Now that the anchors are in place, all you need to do is line up your track and screw this in through the bottom. And this is the way that you hang all of the track. Line it up, mark for your anchors, and then screw it in. I'm attaching the track to the junction box by tightening in the set screws. There's one on each side. Now, as I take this and push it up into the track and turn it sideways, this locks it in place, and now I have power to the track. As I add the other pieces, the electricity will run throughout the whole track and power the lights. This is the junction box cover, and the beauty of this modular unit is all of these pieces just snap right into place. Well, we have our track on this part of the ceiling, but I also want to run it on down here to that back wall because that's where the workbench will be, right down there. Now to do that, I need to go around this ledge. So here's another accessory that you can get. This is called a flexible elbow. This just slides and snaps in place, and with the flexible elbow you could do a 90-degree angle and you could also do a 45. So let me just put this up here and make sure it's long enough. Well, actually it's too long, but that won't be a problem. All I need to do is just mark this and cut it off. Mark it off flush at the junction of these two pieces, but actually you'll want to cut it about 1/4 of an inch shorter so that you have room to slide it on. Before I make the cut, I'm using a speed square to mark both sides of the track. This will give me a straight line for a square cut. And instead of using a sawhorse, I'm using my ladder to help hold this track. Use a hacksaw to make your cut. And anytime you're working with a hacksaw, it will take a little bit of muscle. Just take your time with this because you want a good straight cut so your fittings look better. All right where I made this cut was where the mounting hole was. And I need at least 2 holes in this track so that I can mount this to the ceiling. You can see that I've got a hole at the other end that's about 5 inches from the end. So all I need to do is drill another hole at this end to mount it to the ceiling. And that looks about right there. All right, this piece fits and I've got it secured into the ceiling. Now I got really lucky because the piece that I just cut off fits perfectly right here where I need it. Depending on your dimensions of your ceiling though, you may have to cut another piece of track. What I did was attach this and add another flexible elbow, and now all I need to do is just continue running some track down this ceiling. I'm finished putting all of the track up and I've turned the power back on. Now we're ready to add the lights, and there are literally hundreds of different styles to choose from. When you're ready to put the lights in, pay attention to the prongs. See how this has 2 prongs on one side and 1 on the other? The track is the same way. This has 2 rails on one side and 1 rail on the other. So when you put this in, make sure the 2 prongs end up on the 2 railed side. Put this up in here and then turn it to lock it in place. And now you can move and aim your light wherever you need it. If you need to move your light, all you have to do is pull this piece down and slide it down the track. Push it back up, and again, it's locked into place. While everything's in place, let's see how it looks. Wow, there is plenty of light in this garage now. We put up 50 feet of track and spent less than $200, but you could spend more or less depending on the size of your project and also the design you choose. Now the homeowners can come out here and set up shop anywhere they want and have plenty of light. And that's because, remember, the lights are adjustable. That is the beauty of track lighting. If you would like more information on this project or others, contact us on the internet at michaelholligan.com.
When it comes time to buy firewood for your home, you want to make sure that you get well-seasoned wood that will help your fireplace or wood-burning stove burn cleaner and more efficiently. So here are some quick tips for buying firewood for your home. First of all, just know that all firewood contains water. If you try to burn green wood, the heat of the fire has to dry the wood before it will burn, which results in less heat energy delivered to your home and literally gallons of creosote going up your chimney, which can become the cause of a dangerous fire. There are a few things that you can look for when you're thinking of buying firewood to make sure that the wood is seasoned. Well-seasoned wood has darker ends and it has cracks and splits that are visible. It's also relatively lightweight and it makes a clear clunk when you drop it. Green wood, on the other hand, has a fresher look on the ends. It's a little bit heavier and it makes a dull thud when you knock on it. Either way, looks can be deceiving, so really the best way to buy your firewood is to buy it in the spring and then store it for the fall or winter.
Do the shingles on our roof come with a warranty?
Warranty?
Yeah, 20, 25, 30-year warranty.
Come on, think about it. Who's gonna live in one of my houses past 20 years?
That home better be built to withstand more than 20 years, and especially that roof, because that is your weather protection and it's going to be most of your safety. Now there's really 3 items that make up a normal roof. First, there's the decking. Here below our shingles we have a piece of oriented strand board. It's called OSB. That would be our decking that will be put down on top of the rafters. Then we're going to lay down a layer of felt. We're actually going to overlap layers, and that way if any water gets past our shingles, the felt will stop the water and go ahead and let the water run off the roof without going into our oriented strand board, so we're not going to ruin our wood. Then the most common type of shingle is a 3-tab shingle. It's a composite shingle. It's made out of a lot of different things. You nail it down. The reason it's called 3 tabs, so you can see it's got 3 pieces that'll appear. This part you're not going to see because the next layer of shingles will actually overlap on top of it like so. And this strip here is actually a tar strip, and what happens is it gets hot, and after these shingles have been nailed down for a while and it heats up, they'll start to stick together, so there's less chance of them ever being blown back or flipping off in a high wind situation. Now composite shingles are fairly inexpensive. They start at about $20 to $200 a square depending on how fancy you get. Now a square is a 10 by 10 area of your roof. So that is 100 square feet, and it's always called a square, and that's how you buy shingles. You buy them by the square, enough to cover a 100 square foot area. This is just a more expensive version of the same type of shingle. Of course, it's not 3-tab, but it is a composite shingle. But you can get a lot of different textures and looks to simulate almost any type of roof. Now next to it here, we have what looks like slate, but it's not. It's actually a cementitious tile. That means it's part cement. There's a lot of companies now manufacturing this. It's super strong. If you ever live near a golf course and get a lot of hits on your shingles, or you're in a place where it hails very often, this is a great shingle to have. Now it does weigh more, and it is more expensive. And when we talk about weight, that makes a difference because how you build the roof below your shingles to hold that weight, it depends on the weight of the shingles, and it's going to cost more to frame the house if you have heavier shingles. So this is a little bit heavier than your composite shingles. The price is also just a little higher as well, as you can imagine when you get into something like this. Now when you move across to the other stuff, we get into the heavy stuff. This is actually a clay tile. It makes a great roof. It is more expensive. You're looking at $200 a square for something like this, and it is heavy. It's about 600 to 700 pounds, so there's a lot of weight there. Next to it, you can achieve that tile look, but with concrete, stronger material. So if you're next to a golf course, you're getting hit by golf balls, or you're in a hailstorm, it can handle more, and it's about $50 cheaper. This would be approximately $150 a square, but it weighs about 900 to 1,000 pounds per square. So as you can imagine, you're really going to have to spend some money beefing up the framing of your house to support this type of weight. The latest and greatest here is something that on this side, can't really tell what it is, but you flip it over, it's a steel belted radial. That's an old tire, and they've taken that and made shingles out of it. Now this black part on top you're not going to see because they will overlap like so. But can you imagine if it ever gets hit by hail or golf balls? I mean, you're never going to have a problem. You're never going to end up with a ripped shingle. Now your choices on shingles and roofs are definitely endless. You can have any colors, any looks, any shapes, textures, any price, and any weight. If you'd like more information about picking out the right roof for your house, contact us on the internet at michaelholligan.com.
Now today we're going to be checking out some products for your home office, and the first one is this desk-ready keyboard manager. Now there are a lot of keyboard managers out there, but what makes this one innovative is that it's so easy to install. Now to demonstrate that, We've set it up on this glass table right over here, and if you come around and take a look at it, you can see it just clamps onto the table. No tools required, no nails, no screws, just finger tighten this bolt on this side, there's one on this side, and you're ready to go. Your keyboard goes right here, your mouse right over here. When you finish working with them, it all folds up, slips right underneath your desk, and keeps your desktop nice, neat, and organized. Now the cost of this keyboard manager is about $80, and it's from Reliable Office Products. Now this is the Dymo Label Writer Turbo. This product you can print labels for just about anything. You can make shipping labels or address labels. You can put labels for your files or even labels for your videotape. Any place where you can think you might need a label, this label writer can pretty much do it. Now it hooks up to a PC or a Macintosh computer, comes with some software, easy to install. Once you have it installed, you can then add graphics to it. You can use just about any kind of font you can think of. And right here, these are some samples of all the different kinds of label sizes it can take, and you can see there are quite a few here. It's very, very simple to operate. Now one of the nice features about it is that the labels that it does take use thermal paper. This way there's no ink or toner in the label writer. And probably the best feature of all is that you can go to a site like eStamp, for example, and you can download postage, and then this label writer can print the stamps. And here's one right here. It certainly can save you a few trips to the post office. Now the cost of this label writer is about $250, and if it saves me a few trips to the post office, well, that gets my stamp of approval. Now if your home office is on the move, you need a way of carrying that home office, and this is one way right here. This is called the Lap Dog, and this turns your lap into a workstation. The way it works, you open up these clips just like this, and this one, and then you flip down these saddlebags, and your laptop is right in here. You roll this up, and this turns into a little wrist rest. Flip open your laptop. You're ready to work. You've got the pockets right here. You can keep some extra software and hardware here, your pens and discs right over here, and you're all set. It's great for in the airplane or in the airport. When you finish doing your work, it just folds right back up, and you're ready to move. Now the cost of the Lap Dog is about $140, and it's by Sean Jackson Designs. Now here are some accessories you might consider getting if you're traveling with your laptop. Now both of these are by Connex. This one is called the Modem Minder, and it's a surge protector for your modem. It costs about $40. This one is AutoSet. This allows you to hook up to a multi-phone line or a digital phone line, and it costs about $200. This is by Multitech, and the company claims it's the world's smallest external modem. It costs about $190 and hooks up to a USB port. And if you're thinking about power, this is from Extend. This allows you to hook up to a cigarette lighter, or if you push this button, you can hook up to the power source that the airlines give you. Now this costs about $120, and this allows you to work while you're flying, or you can sit back and watch the in-flight movie and just charge your batteries. And finally, back here at home, sometimes when you're working in your home office, it can feel sort of claustrophobic. You miss the outdoors. If that's the case, then these are the mouse pads for you, because these mouse pads not only capture a scene from the outdoors, they also capture the sound. The Pacific Northwest. Now, if you're an ocean lover, then there's this mouse pad. Kind of relaxing. If you're into amphibians, there's this one. Kind of sounds like the Florida Everglades. Very relaxing. And if you're into golf, then this is the mouse pad for you. If only a hole-in-one were that easy. Now the cost of these mouse pads go for about $17, and they're available through the Computer Gear catalog. Now if you want more information on these products or any of the other Check This Out products, check out our website at michaelholligan.com.